Remember Jah. Wanna remember Jah. You will never call Jehovah. You will never call Jehovah. Remember Jah. Wanna remember Jah. You will never call Jehovah. You will never call Jehovah.
Peace, this is your host Selah-Shalom, and this is a Cosmon Teachings in the words of Jehovah and his angel ambassadors from the Cosmon Bible OAHSPE. And the topic of discussion today is called Comets, Cosmic Seeds of Creation. Now, in the cosmological order of creation, all creation starts with the same process. Now, what I mean when I say creation, the creation of the suns, planets, comets, stars, all have the same manufactured beginning. Now, we have been given a theory that creation started with the Big Bang, but there's no evidence to support this once you understand the cosmological order of creation. Now, there is one thing in creation that is consistent, that we can prove, which is vortexy and current. When we look at a picture of the galaxies, you will see the spiraling vortex, and this spiraling vortex is consistent throughout the cosmos, as well as in nature, with hurricanes, whirlwinds, tornadoes. So now, before there can be any physical manifestation of a sun, planet, moon, star, comet, the vortex has to be produced first, as stated in the book of Jehovah chapter 3, verse 6 and 7. Verse 6, for each and every corporeal world created I a vortex first, and by its rotation and by the places in the firmament whither it traveled, caused I the vortex to conceive the corporeal world. So with this being said, the vortex is the first cause of creation, not the Big Bang. So before any planetary body is created, the vortex comes first. Verse 7, a great vortex created I for the sun, and within this vortex and subjected to it made I the vortices of many of the corporeal worlds. The sun's vortex I cause to rotate, and I give it power to carry other vortices within it, being the planets. According to their densities and position are they thus carried forth and around about the sun. Now with verse 7 it states that the planets are subjected to the sun's vortex, which is proven by our rotation around the sun. So the biblical theory of creation states that the sun was created on the fourth day, which makes no sense once you understand the true order of creation. So the first cause of creation is the vortex. Before any sun, planet, moon, star, or comet can exist, the vortex has to be created first to support its very existence. So now we clear on that. What is the process of creation? Now before a sun was a sun, it had to develop into that. Before the earth was the earth, it had to develop into that. So the point is that nothing came into creation already complete. All things in creation has a process of growth and development, as proven with the vegetable and animal kingdom. Starting from a seed, then growth and development begins, whether plant or animal. Well, the same rules apply to the cosmological order of creation. All planets, suns, stars, all start from a seed. And from that seed, development and growth begins. And this cosmic seed in the cosmos is a comet. Yes, a comet is the seed of creation. And here's how. In the book of Cosmogony and Prophecy chapter 2, verse 5 through 15, in verse 18 it states, verse 5, in the case of a vortex in Etheria, that is, after the manner of a whirlwind on earth, the corporeal solutions are propelled toward the center thereof in great density. So here it describes the universal principle of the vortex. Whether in the Etherian realm or the corporeal realm, the same rules apply as far as vortexy and current being the foundation of all created things. Verse 6, when it is sufficiently dense to manifest light and shadow, it is called a comet or nebula. When still more dense, it is a planet. So once a vortex draws sufficient minerals to manifest light, heat, and shadow, in the center of the vortex, it is called a comet. So a comet is the first manifestation of physicality, whether it be a sun, planet, or star, period. The same way you cannot have a full-grown adult without that adult starting as a seed, being the sperm cell first and then developing into a human being. Same rules apply in the cosmological creation. Now to clear up something, The comet is not just floating throughout space. The comet is subjected to the sun's vortex. So the comet is formed within the sun's vortex and not just a random ball of fire appearing outside of the solar system. All comets observed are subjected to the sun's vortex. Verse 8. At this age of the comet, it shows nearly the configuration of its own vortex, its tail being the M vortex. The M vortex is the negative charge of the vortex. If it appears to the east of the sun, its tail turneth eastward. If west of the sun, it turneth westward. Verse 9. Two directions of power are thus manifested, and also two powers. First, that the vortex of the sun hath power from the east to west, and from the west to the east, to which the comet is subjected. Second, that the comet hath a vortex of its own, which is sufficient under the circumstances to maintain the general form of the comet. The ordinary comet hath its tail away from the sun, but some comets have two tails, one toward the sun and one away. So like I was saying, the comet is created within and is subjected to the sun's vortex. But the comet does not have an orbit, meaning it is not stationary of its own until it is sufficiently developed. And when it is sufficiently developed, then it can obtain an orbit of its own, going through the developments of becoming a planet. Verse 10. Interior nebula is generally described as comets, while exterior nebula is usually called nebula. Nevertheless, all such solutions of Corpor are of like nature, being as the beginning or as the incomplete condensation of a planet. Verse 11. They do not all, nor half of them, ripen into planets, but their vortices are often broken, and they return again into sublimated solution, and are lost to mortal sight. So here it describes how not all comets manifest into planets. So it's telling you that before a planet is completely developed as such, it started out as a cosmic seed, being a comet. So every comet we see have the potential of becoming a planet. And it also stated that not all comets form into planets, being its objective goal. The same way a man may plant a seed into a woman, and the seed begins to grow and develop, but does not complete its objective goal, which is to become a child. It is known as a miscarriage. This is the same concept in the cosmological order of creation. Comets being the cosmic seed of creation, and not all comets, seeds, develop into planets. And this would be like a cosmic miscarriage. See that? Verse 12. But nowhere in Etheria is there a solution of Corpor sufficient to put itself in motion, nor sufficient to condense itself, nor to provide the road of its travel. But its road of travel showeth the direction of the lines of the sun's vortex, except in such cases when a comet's vortex cometh within the vortex of another planet's vortex of greater power than its own. So here this verse is stating how you have vortices within vortices. Take the solar system, for example. You have the vortex of the sun, and within the vortex of the sun, you have smaller vortices being the planets. So if we have 9 planets, that is 9 vortexes that is subjected and bound to the sun's vortex. See that? While in return, the solar system, the sun and its vortex, is subjected to the galactic vortex, being the Milky Way galaxy. So our very solar system is in an orbit. The sun is not stationary, but is subjected to a greater vortex than its own, being the Milky Way galaxy. Verse 13. As a cyclone or whirlwind on the earth travel with the general currents of the wind, so travel the subvortices in Etheria within the axial lines of vortices in chief. Verse 14. Whether within the sun's vortex or external thereto, the rules apply, so far as nebula or comets are concerned, and the vortices that carry them. Verse 15. Axial velocities belong to all of them, and the tendency of all of them is to orbits, the which they attain to or not, according to their strength compared to the master. So again, it's showing you that comets are capable of forming into planets based off the strength and capacity to sustain itself in the master vortex, being the sun's vortex. Verse 18. Of external nebula of sufficient size to be self-sustaining, and to ultimately become a planet, there are at present visible from the Earth more than 8,000. These are in process of globe making, even as the Earth was made, of nebula within the sun's vortex, where they are usually called comets. They are upward of 8 or 10 new ones every year. Some of them survive but a few months, some a few years, some 100 years, and some even 1,000 years or more. But in all cases, when the vortex of one of them bursts, the corpor of the comet flieth instantly into dissolution, more sublimated, and is lost to mortal sight. So here this verse is showing within our solar system, there are numerous comets in the process of becoming planets, or dissipating back into dissolution, not being capable of fully developing into planets, being a cosmic miscarriage. Now, a comet is the cosmic seed, and if this cosmic seed reaches its objective goal, it will become a planet. All planets go through 4 ages and compared to the 4 seasons, spring being the time of creation, summer being the time of inhabitation, fall being the time of barrenness, where nothing can generate and grow on the planet, and then winter being the time of dissolution or death to the planet. And then these cycles of 4 ages repeat. So this is the cosmological order of creation, as stated in the book of Jehovah, chapter 4, verses 14 through 17. Verse 14, open thy eyes, O man. There is a time of childhood, a time of Genesis, a time of old age, and a time of death to all men. Even so is it with all the corporeal worlds I have created. Verse 15, first, as vapor, the vortex carry it forth, and as it condenseth, its friction engenders heat, and it is molten, becoming as a globe of fire in heaven. Then it taketh its place as a newborn world, and I set it in the orbit prepared for it. Verse 16, in the next age I bring it into Simu, being the time of creation, for it is ripe for the bringing forth of living creatures, and I bestow the vegetable and animal kingdoms. Verse 17, next it enters Hatu, for it is past the age of begetting, even as the living who are in dauntage. Next it enters Adu, and nothing can generate upon it. Then cometh Uz, and it is spirited away into the unseen realms. Thus create I, and thus dissipate planets, suns, moons, and stars. So with this being said, the Creator is rendering up the cosmological order of creation. And notice he stated these are the cycles for planets, suns, moons, and stars. Now, once you understand the magnitude, the cosmological cycles of creation, you can view the cosmos in a different light. Our sun, being a ball of fire in the cosmos, is still in its development, and you can consider our sun as a big comet. So our very sun has the potential to become a planet, because the same rules apply to the sun as to the planet. The only difference is that they are in 2 different ages. The earth is in the second age, the inhabitable age, while the sun is in the first age, the time of creation. And what are the conditions of the time of creation, as stated in verse 15? First, as vapor, the vortex carry it forth, and as it condenses, its friction engenders heat, and it is molten, becoming as a globe of fire in heaven. See that? This is the state that the sun is in, as a globe of fire in heaven, the time of creation. And the first manifestation that a vortex produces is a ball of fire, which is the cosmic seed, the comet, just differing in sizes. See that? So a comet could be the size of the earth or the size of the sun itself, but it still falls under the same rules and regulation in its development and growth. And this is the universal order of creation. And this is how we can determine cosmological cycles and seasons of all created bodies, and the comet being the cosmic seed of all created things. And with that, I'd like to say peace and blessings. Shalom.
Remember Jah, remember Jah. You will never call Jehovah. You will never call Jehovah. Remember Jah, remember Jah. You will never call Jehovah. You will never call Jehovah.